Hello, everybody. Awesome. Welcome in. So today we're having a wonderful conversation on what it means to have CEO habits that keep you in control. And we will be your hosts today. And I'm super excited to be here with you. What about you, Joe?
I'm very excited. All right, so let's start with introductions. Actually, maybe we should just wait a couple more minutes before we have more people joining us. But
Yeah,
that's how
I think
hyped up I
waiting
am. That's how excited I am.
I think waiting to the actual start time might be a little beneficial. Just a smidge, you know,
Absolutely,
just a
absolutely.
thought.
But you know what? Maybe we could just do intros like all the time, like midway through and all that. That's how exciting this is.
Yes, you continue to do intros throughout your live presentations because people come in late and they leave early. So you never know who was there the last time you said it. But for those of you guys who are joining us right now, I would love to know. So today's conversation is all about CEO habits that keep you in control. So if you are here, if you are actively listening, you have your phone in your hand or your keyboard on, or it's open in another tab and listening to us in the back of your head, totally fine, no judgment. I want you to put inside the comments or leave us a note as to one, where you're watching from. We're streaming this live right now from Glovisor's page on Facebook or group inside of Facebook, as well as on LinkedIn. But I would love to know, what does control look like to you? Like, what does it mean when we say, like, when it means, what does it mean to stay in control, to have control, to create control? Like, what does control look like to you and in your life? I would love to know.
I have so much to say, but I'm going to wait until we get started.
I know you
All
can
right.
just gonna hold it in, Joe. Hold it in for us. Just hold it in. Keep it like right here in the top of your chest, you know.
It's too much. It's too much. It just wants to get out.
I'm so excited.
All
I
right.
just can't hide
Oh wow! I
it.
didn't know that we were going to have a singing portion of this. And you don't want me to sing. Trust me, you do not want me to sing.
I will leave it to your own judgment, Joe. I trust you. I
Okay,
trust you.
great. Excellent. Well, we've already hit 12:30, so welcome everyone. We're very excited. Today we're doing CEO habits that keep you in control. Last week we did CEO habits that build momentum, and this is the second installment. We have another one next week, next Wednesday at 12:30. So make sure you jot that down. So we're very excited. Let me start off by Tarletta. Can you please introduce yourself? Ladies
Of
first.
course. It's the best introduction I know to give. And so my name is Tarletta Williams. And as someone who's been going through business and self-employed and entrepreneurial for the last 13 years, I can say that it's been my joy, my privilege, and my journey to help people understand how to build a life and a business that they don't totally hate. So how to take your gifts, your purpose, your passions, and more importantly, your conviction, and turn it into a business that actually has systems that sustain it, so you can actually build a life and a business that you don't hate.
That was an excellent introduction. Excellent. And my
Thank you.
name is Joe Abreu, and I am the founder of Glovisor and also the author of the Profit Optimization Program, which is turned into it's a book and then also a course in English and Spanish. And the whole intent or the goal of the process of the POP program was really to help business owners and CEOs to really just take over and claim ownership of their business, of everything that they do, so that way they can have more time off to do really the things that we are intended to do in life. So we're going to really get into a lot of this, but basically this everything that I've worked through my whole life is leading up to this, is helping others how to improve their business or their day-to-day business, so that way they can yield a better life.
That
All
is
right.
awesome. Like, I think that's such a great thing to be able to do for people. I think a lot of times we don't consider that the things we do so naturally that come so great to us are foreign to other people.
That's right.
And so it's like just being able to offer that. So Joe, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the people
All
in
right.
our comments today. And it's like, so what does control actually look like in the CEO seat? Like, what does it look like in your life to be in control or to take control in your role right now?
Oh, this is a great question. Uh, yeah, because being in control means so many different things to so many different people. Sometimes being in control is someone who micromanages every aspect of their business. Then you also have someone who says, when I'm in control, that means that I totally don't handle any part of my business. And then you have individuals who are kind of like in the middle, they do a little bit of everything. So it's the whole spectrum, right? And so to me personally, I think what control really means and the recommendations that we offer to people that we work with is really how to have a better balance. How is it that we can move the company, the business forward? At the same time, how do we have more time off to do the things that we want to do, which that could include anything from the business side, which is the R&D, all of the research development to improve your business, to the time off that you need to have in order to recharge, reset, and come back. And that's the control. That's my perspective.
Oh, interesting. So there's this like either I completely delegate everything, and so I don't have to worry about doing anything, or I do everything because I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how it's supposed to be done. So the micromanaging activist, if you will.
That's so true.
I would have to say, like, for me, like, I always look at, like, whenever I think of CEOs, like, whenever I do a CEO training, I try to remind people, like, if you think of yourself or if you think of your business as a restaurant, right? And a restaurant can, like, whether it's Italian or it's American or it's Mexican, whatever kind of restaurant you want it to be, it has different dishes. But each dish is designed to forward the cultural experience, right? The customer experience that you're giving to people. And as a CEO, I like to tell people to imagine yourself as the head chef. So you are vital for making sure that all the meals that are prepared, all the things that go out to the people in the restaurant, every particular offer that you make, every item you add to the menu is aligned with what you guys are trying to do, with the experience you want to be able to have and create, whether it's being in Mexico or Italy or wherever the cuisine is coming from. When I think of control, it is that as a CEO, you are in charge of all the departments, whether it's garnishing, it's the protein, it's the side dishes, it's the runners, it's the hostess. Like, to some degree, you have to be able to see the big picture. And I think that what you're describing as the active, what did I call them earlier? The micromanaging activist.
Yes.
Or the delegator that just goes out. I think, like, when it comes to the micromanaging activist, it looks like, because this is where most people fall in, by the way, is being the person who does everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting there. Is it looks like a head chef cutting lettuce. Like, you have no business touching a knife, like not that particular knife, if any other knife for that matter. You are not the operator per se of that particular department. Like, every department has its place. So you have the sous chef, and you have, again, your runners, your sprinters, the people who just do the sides, the people who do garnishes. Like, there's usually a person for all those things that those roles are given to. And when it comes to the person who doesn't want to have any hands-on in their business, and that people are kind of just running amok and doing the thing, it is that you as the CEO or you as the head chef have stopped to look at the quality of the experience that you want to offer. So it's not that you're not offering the experience, but the quality isn't going to be there if there isn't a unifying.
And the two.
Because you still are in control of that experience.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so the two extremes, right? I think that can actually hurt a business if you go to extreme. So keeping that blended process, I think, is much better, because ultimately, as a CEO business owner, what are you doing? You're charting the course of the direction that you're going and how you're going to improve that business. And if you go one way or the other way too far out, then you're no longer able to chart the course. So if you're too much into it, you're too much into the weeds, you can't see beyond that. But then if you're so far out, you're also disconnected from the process. You're not able to understand it.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you there. But also, so I pose this question, Joe. So let me know what you think.
Sure.
Do you believe that control is an illusion? Like, how do we really manage control? Like, is it just like, I think, therefore I am? Like, what is it? How do we know that we're in control? Like, what are those indicators or signals that we have that tell us that we're in control of stuff?
Absolutely. That's a great question because I think it takes it even further than this. I think this can apply in your personal life as well, which is so interesting. We often think that we're in absolute control of things. And then when things don't go our way, we think that we're out of control and we dislike things. Versus sometimes when we kind of recognize what we are. And sometimes when I'm working with, even within my own businesses, when I talk to people who work for us, I always say, it's not about me being this boss that is telling you what to do, but just recognize that I need to have more of a macro view so I can see beyond that. And and from your perspective, you need to, taking your analogy of the restaurant, you have to know the quality of the food that's going out. And I can't see that. So control, it is really not the reality that we sort of think that is, I'm going to tell you what to do and you're going to listen. No, it's not that way. In reality, I think the best way is to understand that we need one another. Because I can chart the course and bring the customers in. But if I don't have the right people handling the quality of the food that's going to go out, I don't have a business any longer. But the flip side is also true. If I can have the best food known to mankind, but if I don't bring in the customers to purchase that food, they will never experience it and will never have a business. So I think it is an illusion because we think that they control us, we control them. And it's really not. Once we realize that we need one another and together, the real control is when we can kind of have a synergy together with our roles, recognize that, and then everyone focuses on what they're doing so we can move the company forward.
I absolutely love that. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense to bring my old boss used to say aces in their places. Like, I used to work so one of my first jobs was at Taco Bell. And so like there was one dude, he was the meat person. Like he was the steam table. That's his spot. That's where he's the fastest and he does the best work. Like aces in their places. Where are we at? Like where are you supposed to be? What's your thing that makes you the most vital part to this engine or this organization, if you will? But one thing I really want to focus in on is that you said earlier, when it comes to bringing in customers, is to create that experience and to judge ultimately that experience. I think about customer reviews for restaurants, and people get really worked up about those. It's like, oh my gosh, if my food's bad one time, people are going to complain about me, and then I'll be like blacklisted on Google Maps or something. And I think for a lot of us, especially as business owners, we decide like, well, I have to go get the customer. I have to bring them inside the restaurant. I have to sit them down at their table. I'm going to take their order. I'm going to cook their food. I'm going to give them their food. I'm going to ask them if they want dessert. I'm going to go cook their dessert. I'm going to give them their dessert. I'm going to clear the table. I'm going to walk them home or to their car. And when we start doing that, it's because we really want to make sure, like we tell ourselves that it's because we really want to make sure that they have a great experience. But for us, it's like, well, I know that if I'm doing it, if I control this, that I can control the outcome. And the truth about being a business owner is that you cannot control the outcome. People are going to come in many different shapes and sizes. And the sooner you realize that their experience has a lot to do with them and the expectations that you set, because in that example, if you're the one that goes out and brings them to the restaurant and sits them down, it's going to take you forever and a day and a half to cook their food because you don't really want to eat right now. Mm-hmm. But if you have the right people in on your team to get them into the door, get them to their table, get the order to you so you can do what you do best, and you go out. When it comes to trying to do everything yourself, we use the restaurant example as one of them, but it really is a show of overcompensating. I want to make sure that whatever I put my name on, people have the best experience. And I'm going to do everything that I possibly can for this one person. If they ask for ribeye steak and we only got prime, I'm going to go drive to the meat market right now. Like we want to make sure that we're going to do all, and we're going to take that extra call on the weekends. We're going to answer those emails until midnight. We're going to create this course until our eyes bleed and we're tired of hearing our own voices. We're going to do that extra stuff. We're going to offer that extra access because we want to feel in control of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like has that shown up for you in any way, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I get to talk to a lot of business owners every single week, and that's the most common thing. They try to, and I think, you know, I know that we use that word micromanaging, and it's just because we're trying to distinguish between we're actually managing the smaller things versus what business owners and CEOs should be doing, which is more of the macro, which is the bigger view and more of that charting the course. So that's why we separate the two. But I think most owners, we say that, is that they micromanage every aspect of it because they want the quality to be so amazing for the customer. But now you're not able to scale. You're not able to grow. So one of the big things that we were talking about, like the POP program that we created, was to work on delegating. So if you have to start working on delegation, you have to start working on training, reproducing systems, so that way your business can actually scale. If you do it all, you won't be able to scale. If you start to now train the right people at the right places to do the right things, now you can go ahead and focus on something else. So that's extremely important if you really want to grow.
Definitely. So what happens when we mistake reactivity for leadership? Like when we think that taking action right now, doing that last minute thing that our client needs, going the extra mile, killing our time and our day, like what happens when we think that being a leader is about being reactive? Like what happens?
Oh, absolutely. Because a lot of times people like, again, business owners and CEOs, what they're like firemen, right? They're just responding to every screaming call of anyone in their business. And then they just drop everything and run to that. And what happens is that just took you off task for whatever your major goal was that you were working on that day. So we're continuously running from fire to fire to fire, just putting those out. And then we're never really able to chart that course to a better place for the business. If we really focus on it and we created an actual system and process, now what we have is that those small fires can be delegated to others, still allowing you to handle the macro view and the charting the course and handling that. Now, I know that some people say, well, not everyone can handle what I can handle. That is true. That is true, because you have a different perspective, or more that macro perspective where you can see it all, versus the other perspective when you're working as an employee where you're compartmentalized, so you really don't get to see it all. So maybe that's why. So then that's when we have to start looking at ourselves and saying, okay, well, maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we still need to start training people to see beyond where they are. So now they can go ahead and start taking care of these small fires where they are. So I don't have to drop everything and run there and now stop my role in my goals.
Like, absolutely. Like, I think for a lot of, like you said, for a lot of us, it is like, well, nobody can do it like I can do it. Like, I'm going to do it the best. Like, I know how I want it. It'll be perfect. And we start to tell ourselves that. And I would go so far as to say we start to delude ourselves in that. Like, there are people who are better than you at things. Accept it, live by it, hire them, pay them, get the job done. We have to be okay with the idea of giving away some of that control and letting them move. Like, I think I was in a call like last week about just allowing your employees, allowing your managers, your leaders to have autonomy when it comes to specific budgetary things. Like, what is the most that they can spend without having to check in with you? Like, can they go buy Post-its or dry erase markers, or does everything need a purchase order and a yes or a no? Because you start to delay things in your business. And what really ends up happening is that you end up with this false urgency where everything's an emergency. You end up with this fake urgency that really just kills the clarity that you need in order to make good decisions. It's like, well, if I'm making decisions based on the situation I'm in right now, what's right in front of me, I'm not taking into consideration the rest of my business that is currently happening right now. And so we have to get out of that reactionary state and into a proactive state. Like you said earlier, the CEO's job is to set the course. Like, you have to be able to look ahead of you 5, 10, 20, 50 years in order to be able to create the strategies and systems that we need to get there, right? Mm-hmm. So, Joe, my question to you, as someone who works with CEOs in this way, what is one bit of advice? I know you mentioned delegation earlier, giving them that, and I mentioned autonomy. But what is one thing that I would say CEOs can do, like right now, that will help them understand the difference between an emergency and just a part of business or a situation, if you will?
Yes, absolutely. So, one of the things that I see sometimes with CEOs is that they will go ahead and put out a fire, but it has a monetary impact of probably less than $500. But you've actually taken the business off course. You've taken probably the opportunity from connecting with bigger clients where you can bring in thousands and thousands of dollars. So you can go ahead and put out a $100 fire. It doesn't make sense. We have to start looking at where we are, what we're doing, and what those fires are all worth. What is my top financial impact to the business for that fire? For instance, I was working with a restaurant owner, and he basically said, if a customer complains about X, Y, and Z, and we're talking about something that's less than $20, credit them the $20, give them a gift card to come back. You don't have to call management. We don't have to stop the production process. Just say, I'm sorry, give them the gift card and move on. You don't have to get management approval for absolutely everything. And that was a decision of how to start figuring out, how do we focus on bringing in customers and how do we improve the experience without taxing the management to handle a $20 issue.
Right. Because we do that. And I think that in the restaurant, that's easier to see. But I was thinking to myself, like, I'll be on my calendar, for example, because this happens to me every once in a while. My calendars typically talk to each other very well. But there have been times where, like, I'll have like a virtual coffee that is scheduled. Like, I love networking, so I'll have a virtual coffee scheduled to meet with someone, and then I have someone, like, maybe I have a sales call that comes through that needs that time slot. Love my virtual coffees, but you got to go. Like, we got to move you to like tomorrow or next week or something, because this is my financial priority, is that the person that is going to pay me right now they need my attention. And that to me is what an emergency looks like. But if it was the other way around, like, where I'm like, there's a virtual coffee person, I'm trying to track them down for 3 months to meet them in person or get the 20-minute conversation going to start the sales cycle, I'm not going to move my day for that. It's just not going to happen. But for me, that also means that my calendars are set up that way. Typically, they are set up to not make sure that people for virtual coffees do not have access to my sales time. My salespeople do not have access to my virtual coffee time, because then my calendar gets too hectic and I start having to switch my brain, which leads me to the next topic we're going to talk about today, which is how do you build a personal operating system? So a system that allows you to better use your time, your energy, make better decisions, and set your direction. Like, how do you do that?
Okay. So, I want to go back to one thing that you were just saying, because I think it's going to lead into this. I just had a business owner last week that I spoke to who said, I am extremely busy, but it's not yielding any real profit in my business. And we started to look at the calendar. And it goes to what you were just saying, that you have to prioritize even the meetings that you're having. Sometimes I see that there are a lot of business owners and CEOs who do so much networking because that's what we've been taught to do, but then not leaving enough spots for the actual customers who are paying customers. And then they wonder why they're not yielding enough profit. And all we did is actually, we went through their calendar and said, do we really need to network on this day? Do we really need to do this or that? And we started setting up dates within their calendar that maybe a Monday or a Tuesday, that's going to be our networking day. That's our day of trying to bring in new business. And then the other days are going to be responses following up from the networking. And then another day is going to be to take care of our existing customers so we can improve the business and the process with our customers. So one thing that I would say that I absolutely do, I live by calendars. I list everything out. I think I talked about it last episode, and I think I'm going to talk about it next episode next week, which is Wednesday at 12:30. It's list. I live by the list, and the list gets reset every single time, and I put priorities. If I see that a customer is yielding X number, and let's just say this is probably a customer who has a lot more zeros than another customer, well, guess who's going to go to the top of the list? That's not a negative thing. Everyone needs our priorities as business owners. One thing that is going to keep us going faster, sooner, because the more money we have now, the more we can reinvest in our business to improve our processes.
Absolutely. And I think I'll be happy to listen to you talk about it again today and again on next Wednesday at 12:30 as well. Because I think that calendars, like when I remember when I became an entrepreneur, people would say, oh, I don't have a boss. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I don't have, like, there's nobody on top of me. Like, I can do whatever I want to do. And I'm like, no, your calendar is your boss. You just don't know it yet. Your calendar will tell on you so much when it comes to running and building a business, because it will say, where are you allocating your time? Like, yeah, my calendar could be full of brunch and naps and baking and time with my kids. And that would be great because I'm in control of my calendar. You know what it also says on there? Broke. Okay. Because it's telling me that you're not allocating any time to actually growing your business. Like, when are you going to study? When are you going to create? When are you going to have those conversations? When are you going to meet these people? And like you said earlier, I was one of those people who I love networking. And so when I first got into it, I looked 40 hours a week, I could say easily, went to networking and post-networking follow-up for virtual coffees. It was absolutely insane, but it was beneficial. And I teach people now how to use a network calibration system to make sure that the networking is yielding a return on investment. But when you're just getting started, it can be a black hole because it feels productive. You feel like I'm doing something for my business. You give yourself that little gold star because you're doing it for the business, but you have to remember that it needs to be revenue generating. And for to bring it back to topic today, again, CEO habits that build control. We talked earlier about, like, hey, when we let every little thing take our attention, we are letting go of that control. We are trying to force the management of such things, but really building control starts with building boundaries, and not just boundaries to say what they are and they exist and they're on your mirror, but boundaries that actually stick. And so there are 4 different types of categories when it comes to boundaries. So I've heard the word boundaries a lot, and I did not completely understand them because I thought, like, well, my boundary is that people can't talk to me after 5 o'clock. And that was wrong. I was told that boundaries are what you set for yourself. So they do not involve the other person. Again, you cannot control other people. Lie to yourself if you want to, you can't do it. And so boundaries are saying, I will not answer my email after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I will not turn on my computer before 9 o'clock in the morning. I will stop working at 6 o'clock today. Those are my boundaries to protect my time with my family, my time to myself, and my own mental sanity. Now, that's different from standards. I expect that the standards are what I put onto other people, or change that on. They are, I guess you say, the overarching requirements I have of who I work with. So I will not work with you if you do not meet my standard. Do you communicate in a way that is respectful? Do you follow up when it is timely? These are things that I straight up, if you don't hit these, you are below standard. It's not going to work. So the standard for the virtual coffee is a lot lower than that for a sales call. Just being very honest about my business. And then you have your expectations, which you communicate. Your expectations may include some of your standards. Again, this is where you are personally. Your expectations when you start to give it to somebody else. This involves other people now and communicating that effectively to them. I expect you not to email me after 4 o'clock unless it's an emergency. Now, if you violate that, totally fine. Just know I'm not going to read it because that's my boundary. So these things all work together. I expect for you to respond to my emails within 48 hours. I know life happens. It happens to me all the time. However, I expect you to do that. Is it a standard of mine? Not at all. I'm not going to cut you off because you didn't respond to my email. It's okay. You know what I mean? And then you have the rules. Your rules are hard and fast. Who will I not work with? Who will I work with? This is the rule. If you violate my rules, you're going to get cut off, or you're going to get a very different side of me that you ain't going to like. And that's okay. Just be very honest about it. Set expectations. Right, Joe?
Right. Absolutely. You know, it's so true. There's no right or wrong here because, I mean, everyone's so different when it comes to that. It's just, what are your expectations? What are your timelines and the things that you want within your business and the way that you want to operate it. And as long as you said, you respectfully go ahead and state that to your clients, I think most of them understand. Okay, so you're going to respond within 48 hours. You have family time. I get it. So I think as long as you mention it, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that way, not everything's a fire. For instance, for me personally, I turn off my phone and don't look at it when I'm working with a customer or when I'm with my family. So it's that's just what I do. But it's the same thing that, I tell my customers, don't get upset, because when I'm working with you, I turn off my phone and not answer anyone else, because I'm dedicating all of my time to you. And that's what I want to do, because I want to give you the best that I can. If you're telling me your issues, your pain points, and what you need to improve, and I'm on my phone trying to communicate with someone else, I'm not really here for you. Well, it's the same thing with somebody else, and it's the same thing with my family. And I think that I've explained it, and I don't think I've ever had an issue with anyone, because, I want the best of you when you're with me. And of course, I want you to give your best to someone else.
Absolutely. And I love that you turn your phone off or put it away somewhere. Like, I am that person. Like, I tell people all this, like, people will text me during the day. I'm like, I didn't look at my phone for the last 3 hours. Normally I'm on my headphones. They're actually right next to me right now. And my phone is like across the room or the house somewhere. So I may not know where my phone is. Mm-hmm. So if you text me, just if it takes a while, no, I probably have not looked at my phone in like the last 30 minutes to an hour or so. And I love that, because I'm not attached to my phone as often. It is biting me in the butt right now, though, because I plan to start creating more content, and it kind of requires me to have my phone. But outside of that, when it comes, when it comes to communicating our expectations, our boundaries, our rules, our standards, it's super important, because it also allows us to differentiate between the things that are actual business priorities and things that are emotional requirements. Mm-hmm. I know that, I would love, my kids will tell you that when they were younger, and even sometimes now, every once in a week or so, I was just zoning on work for today. This is my priority right now. This has to get done. And while I may sacrifice my mommy time right now so I can get this done, I will give it back to you some other time, or we'll do something special this weekend. But it helps me understand, okay, well, why is this a priority? If I'm giving up my mommy time, and most people will tell me that I'm absolutely insane for doing so, or that I shouldn't do so, and that kids are important and your family's great. And I love my kids. They're great. I'm sure they have not photo bombed this or video bombed this session yet today, because they're off for the holiday. But it's when you give everything a place, you kind of have to convince yourself as to why you're taking it back. Mm-hmm. This is the time for my client. Is it really worth me answering that text message right now? Should I listen to them on Zoom and check my email at the same time? Is it worth that split? And is that email that I'm answering a priority? Is it really that important? Is that text message really a priority? I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier, and this wasn't even business related. Well, it might have been for her. My tennis coach, love her to death. But her phone, her mom lives with her now. And when her phone rings, she has to pause the lesson to go to check her phone to make sure her mom isn't calling, because her mom has dementia. And so she gets, or Alzheimer's, I think, or maybe both. But the point is, when her mom calls, she needs to stop the session to answer her phone. However, the only way she knows if her mom is calling is if her mom's picture shows up on the phone. So she has to actually go to the phone to see, because during tennis, she doesn't have her phone in her pocket. Mm-hmm. And so this morning, it's just as simple as saying, hey, do you have a special ringtone for your mom? So that when a phone call comes through, if it's not your mom, you don't have to stop the lesson. Because right now you're taking time to stop the lesson. So you can't be present with me as your client, because you have to worry about who's calling and if it's your mom. Now, if I know it's your mom, then I know you need to stop, and that's totally fine. And all things are well and good. And I can say she's never picked up her phone if it wasn't her mom. But that you have to stop and start and redo, what is the priority right now? Really think about that when you're trying to multitask or do more than one thing at the same time.
Well, one thing I want to say there is that you just, in one action, you basically explain what we do as coaches, right? And consultants. What we do is we listen to our clients, and we figure out what it is, that pain point or issue that they're having. And then we find a solution, and you quickly find a solution with a ringtone, that just solve a problem. And that's really what we do when we work with business owners and CEOs. That's what we're looking for. What are the issues? What's not working? What are the systems we can improve to make your life better and more efficient, so you can do all of the other things? There's absolutely nothing wrong with working 100 hours a week. I enjoy it. I work a lot of hours, and I love it. It's just that I compartmentalize when I'm working on one thing. That's what I'm working on. I won't just jump around I won't go to all the other different fires, so that way I can focus. But
Right.
when you're doing your personal life, you also have to dedicate all of your time to your personal life, because that's just as important. And one of the things I think we've talked about this before, the POP program, that I like to talk about a lot is the personal side, because we forget to talk about that. Because sometimes we do have a family member, just like your tennis coach, who has these illnesses or things that that are happening. That's life. This happens to all of us. So how are we good within our personal life, and how are we good within our business life? And how do we blend it all together? Because we don't have to be all or none.
We don't. Like there's no reason to do that. And I think for a lot of people, it just comes down to understanding how to communicate, like we said earlier today, communicating those boundaries, communicating those expectations in a way that gives us permission to say no and to say it whenever we need to say it. Like, but how do I have that conversation? Like, I grew up in a male dominant household. My single dad raised 2 daughters. So it was a very, I'm in charge type household that I was in personally. Not saying that all father-led households are that way, just mine. But I had to learn how to say no, because it was like, you don't tell your dad no. Like, it's just not what you do. You say okay or yes, sir, and you get the thing done. And so learning how to say no without burning the bridge, because a lot of people, when they are asking for things, they depend on you. They have a lot of faith in you. They have a lot of trust in you. They have a lot built into your opinion. They value your opinion, your insight, whatever it is you actually offer to them. And sometimes saying no can be super, super difficult. Like I was in a group last Friday, and they just did their very first TED Talk. They were TED Talk organizers. They did their very first TED Talk in Lake Mary. And they said of all the things that they expected to do between getting speakers, filling the space, finding a space, marketing the event, the hardest thing they did not expect to have to do was to tell people no. They had over 100 applicants in the last week of the event before the event started. And they had to tell people no all day long. And it really weighed on them, because they're like, well, every application is someone's dream, someone's idea, someone's chance to be heard. And we have to tell them no. Like a lot of them have to get told no, and it can be an emotional toll. And so I'm going to ask you first, and I have a couple of my own, but what are some ways that you say no to people without, telling them to go screw themselves?
So yeah, I mean, all of those things have to happen sometimes, but I think for most part, I think that I always start by just letting them know where we are. I understand what you want, what you need, but that doesn't work for what I am working on or whatever I'm doing. So obviously we want to go back to the personal thing. I think the psychology aspect of it, psychology class in college, which was, make sure you acknowledge the individual, make sure you acknowledge what they're doing, and then go ahead and stand up for yourself as well. So I think that's probably the easiest way to go about it.
Yeah, I'm typically, side note, and my mom may kill me for this later, but I love her to death. So I tell people all the time, like, moms are the OGs of scope creep. Okay. They have mastered that thing. They are the masters of scope creep, because my mom, God bless her, like, as an example, she will say, hey, like on Tuesday, she'll say, hey, can you call the salon and see if my girl is available on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock? Like, all right, mom, because my mom, unfortunately, she went through stage 4 throat cancer. So she does not have most of her tongue. So talking over the phone for her is very difficult. People have a hard time understanding her. So I do a lot of her appointment setting. It's like, all right, cool, no problem. So I call, Mindy's available. Yay, we're good to go. And then she'll wait until like Friday afternoon. It's like, hey, can you take me tomorrow? And like, I knew on Wednesday that I was getting that phone call, but she will wait until the last minute. Or to be things like where, like, and for me, like I said, I spend a lot of time with my family, with my kids, and I work from home for the most part. And most people know that I work from home. And so as a partner, it's well, you're at home all day. You can do the dishes and do the laundry and clean the house and go get groceries, right? Like, you're here all day long. You have the flexibility to do that. It can be your friends who feel like, well, you do this all day, so you can give me advice whenever I need it, right? I can just call or text you like anytime I feel like it, and you're going to tell me what to do. And so for me, I had to what I typically do is I offer, so first the acknowledgments, like the appreciation for them actually coming to ask me, but also I tend to offer alternatives. So it's like, hey, I can do it, but on these terms. So it's usually, No problem doing it. And if I have to say a hard no, which I don't typically like doing and still don't do very, very often, it's usually some alternative that I will consider, whether it's through text message or phone call or just email it to me type thing. It is just an acknowledgement that I just like, while it is a priority to get that done, it just doesn't fit my schedule right now. Like, and how can we do this at a different time, date, location, whatever needs to happen to make the change? And if it's a for real no, where like, again, go screw yourself, it is more like, usually it's like a wish you your best, wish you the best, look forward to help. I do not send them to, I don't send them to other people. It'd be very rude to do so. But it is just like, I don't want to do that, honestly.
Mhm.
And it's because like most people who know me know I have a sign on my wall actually, and it says the only thing I don't do is anything I don't want to do. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound good. It doesn't feel good. I wouldn't feel good doing that. But there are people out there. So again, I still validate, like there are people who will do that. I just don't. And so good luck.
So at the January live class, we're going to cover some of these things, right? Like we're going to actually bring some of these things up for individuals because we want to make sure that everyone
January is going to be crazy.
Learn to say no.
Absolutely. Like I'm still very bad at it. I'm still like, I'm more of a, it's not what, it's how. So it's not what we're going to do, it's how we're going to get it done. That usually ends up. So I don't usually argue the what as much as some people do. But then again, I have very clear boundaries and standards, and my circle knows them well. So I don't get a lot of really weird requests, but because I do use networking as that strategy, I do get people who just don't know yet, or they don't really understand, or they feel like they're just asking for advice, or they're trying to be polite, or they're trying to grow. And I completely understand. We tell people all the time, when you start your business, go find a mentor, ask these people for help, or just go ask questions, get curious. And we don't really tell them how to do that respectfully, or how to do that in a way that provides value for both sides. And it's something that I really, really, really want to help other CEOs get better at, is understanding that, yes, you are what's unique about your business, especially if it is your business that you're the CEO of. But there has to be a way that you value that, so you can be able to communicate that. And you have to believe that value. Otherwise, you end up overcompensating, like we said earlier, and you start trying to control things. And like we said with the chef who was going out, finding the people, bringing them in, taking their order, cooking the food, giving them the food, clearing the table, we have to be able to identify when having control and taking control is really just fear. It's our fear that people will see us fail. People will see us not know something or not understand. Like I know personally, I ran away from coaching, like getting in my own. I enjoy coaching other people. I did not want to hire coaches because I knew coaches would challenge me and I'd have to fail in front of people. I built my business as being resourceful. So reading a book, my tutoring company, hey, give me your math book and I'll learn it faster than you can and teach it back to you. My baking company, show me how to make a cheesecake and I'll figure out how to get it in the way that I want it to look. And I created that whole new process. I've always been that person. And so as I continue to grow and scale my business, and I need coaches, I have 2 coaches right now, when we have to get on those live calls and they're trying to teach me something, well, 3 if you can't include tennis, but they're trying to teach me something, and I have to be open to the fact that they're going to see me fail. They're going to see me struggle. They're going to see me have a hard time. And I could say that I'm in control and I could just walk away, but it's just me trying to compensate for my fear. I can make excuses, or I could do a whole host of other things. But when is control just fear of being seen, fear of not delivering the way you want to deliver?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Tim?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Coaches, I mean, one of the things, the analogies that I have is that we are, when you see tractor trailers going down the highway, you see how they have those big mirrors, and then they have the little tiny mirrors at the very bottom. That's what we are. That's what we are as business coaches. We are a reflection of what you're doing in the direction that you're going, but we're also looking at your blind spots that you cannot see. And we want to highlight those things for you, so that way you don't get into an accident where you're changing lanes because you didn't see what's in your blind spot. And that's what we're doing. We're just a reflection of that to help you. But I totally agree. There are a lot of people who really don't want to hear it, because we don't want to hear that sometimes we think that that means that we're wrong. It is not that at all
Right.
whatsoever. It is just to show you where it is so we can grow from it and move on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So
I
I mean, I
love
just
that.
want
Like,
to
that's the
bet.
review mirrors. I'd never heard of that one before.
All right, I'll let you borrow that one. So yeah, I
Like,
was just mentioning
absolutely.
about the live events that's coming up. I know we talked about the one that's coming up in January, but we may also have additional events. So make sure you look at the description wherever you're watching this video, because you'll have the link to see where we have live events or maybe future videos or maybe classes or something else that we may be offering as well.
Yes.
So do
So
you have
I
any more
gotta say, so just
questions?
for those who are tuning in, so Joe and I actually, we're gonna be hosting a live 1 day masterclass. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. All right. So for those who did not hear, Joe and I are gonna be hosting a live masterclass in Wesley Chapel, which is in Florida, close to Tampa. And we're going to be going a full 8 hours. Like, this is like an 8 to 10 hour day with 12 people, only 12. We're limiting the room so we can make sure we can give you everything that we possibly can. And if you thought this conversation was helpful, if you got to see what it's like to understand control, to understand boundaries, but you want to go a little bit deeper, then I highly, highly recommend that you guys apply to join us on January 7th in Wesley Chapel, because what we just talked about for like the last 40 minutes or so is going to be a much longer, more specific conversation to the 12 people inside that room on decision making and setting boundaries. Because as a CEO, that is what is the most important for you to be able to do in order to stay out of the weeds, stay from behind the stove, get off the knife, and to actually set the vision for your company. Now, this is just one of them. There are be 4 major sessions that we're going to do on that day. And so I would love to have you guys come and join us, because we're going to be going over things. Excuse me. We're going to be going over things like not only how to set those intentions, but how to set the foundation for yourself, like how to create that mental space as a business owner, as a human, as a personal, your personal systems. And then we're going to go from being an employee to being a CEO. Joe mentioned a few different times, like loving calendars and to-do lists and understanding the role. Like you said, aces in their places. So where do you want people to be? And what is that identity shift that you have to go through that gets you from being a business owner or an employee of your own business into that CEO setting the vision mindset? And the other one we're going to go over is daily CEO habits for clarity and momentum. Now, we covered this at length in our last conversation last Monday at 12:30. So the replay is available. Ask one of us for it. I believe you can also find it on Joe's YouTube channel. But understanding how to create momentum by reducing friction. And it won't just be this overarching conversation on how Joe and I make this happen. We're going to be sitting down with you guys, and we're going to go step by step into what you need to do, the systems in your business, how to remove the friction, how to add a little bit of oil so that your engine keeps running.
That's right. Yeah,
so I'm excited, Joe. Are you excited? I'm so excited for January. Like, it's going to be a super amazing day. I'm going to be tired as all crap, but I am beyond excited.
Extremely excited, because by the time that we finish, it is an investment of time for individuals to attend, but you're basically just submerging yourself into the whole process, into the instruction, to the exercises, so that when you're done, you actually can move forward with your business. And so think about it. If you're working in your business now and you're not really yielding as much as you want, what is one day investment in your life, in your career? What a change that can happen. And as soon as just a few months, you're going to be able to see some of those changes start to take effect. But now you're going to get to the next level. Now you can improve. Now your business can scale. Now you can have more time with your family. So it's totally worthwhile to take that one day investment and make it happen.
Absolutely. So, Joe, thank you so much for today's CEO conversation on on creating habits that keep you in control. I think that a lot of people are going to get a lot of good information out of this one. I cannot wait to see what people do with it. And I think we have our next call is going to be next Wednesday, also at 12:30, right here on LinkedIn, as well as in your Facebook group in Glovisor. And we're going to be talking about CEO habits that build trust. So we talked about you as a person building momentum, your business, and making sure you stay out of the weeds, Now we're going to talk about how you communicate with other people to build trust, not only in yourself, not only in your systems, but in your business and in the people that you surround yourself with.
That's right. I totally agree. And spoiler alert, I will be mentioning my list process again. So just to let you know.
Duly noted. Wrote it down 2 times.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I look forward to seeing you next week at the next episode. You can watch the previous one. It'll be tagged together, so you can watch the previous one if you like. And then also we'll start to put the link in for the live events also in the description. So I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next episode and live events.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.